Whenever I hosted karaoke, we had this group of teachers that would come every Monday night whenever they had a holiday off the next day.
Wow.
And they're in their like late 40s.
Sure.
They do all the drugs. They drink
Wow.
all the booze because they don't got to deal with kids the next day. So they just go,
Right.
fuck it. Like, I've never in my life seen another profession get together and get that fucked up.
Just get after it. That's funny.
Because they would show up at like 9 and they'd be there till 4 in the morning with us.
God, wow. Isn't it funny? Because when we were like that wasn't even that long ago, but it seems like a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, when, let's see, 15, 20 years ago is when we were doing all that stuff. That's not, on the grand scale of things, it's not that long ago. But I'm like, I can't fucking believe that used to happen,
Yeah, no. I can't even imagine being up till 4 o'clock in the morning anymore.
Dude,
it makes me like, it gives me cold chills.
Yeah. All my drinking buddies either had to stop or are dead. And I'm like, if that's not the case, then you didn't do your 20s and 30s right.
Do we want to introduce ourselves finally?
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Shandy Sullivan.
Hi, I'm Timmy Williams.
And this is Urn Full of Popcorn. And this is another Christmas episode, right? Yeah. To ask you how many so are there other Friday 13th movies you haven't seen yet?
That was the only one.
That was the only one. That was your one hole in that franchise?
Yeah, number 7, The New Blood.
Right, which I see as a lesser one, but you seem to have a pretty good time with it, and I don't really remember it, so I should watch it again.
It was funny, but I wasn't really paying attention to it. I was dealing with my chili and eating and
dealing with my chili. If you ever make like an album of some kind, like, I don't know. Well, let's say you did. I think that's a good title. Shandy Sullivan, Dealing with My Chili. The album cover would be like you, like, with your hair all cool, whatever, rock and roll or whatever, and stirring chili. Like looking ready to go perform, but you're stirring chili. I think that'd be a great album cover.
I'm dealing with my chili.
Yeah, there you go. I forgot that we both used to sing together. Yeah. Do you ever sing anymore? You don't go to karaoke anymore.
Oh, I just sing at home to myself.
Do you? Oh, me too.
I sing to the cats.
Yeah. Oh, I sing to the lizard and to my daughter. Yeah, I turned every song to be about Roy, the lizard. Yeah. Like, it's insane. Like, I mean, literally any song, like Roy, about it. That's what I'll do. And she'll just judge me, silently. So, yeah.
She'll just judge me. I finally did the letterbox thing. I just put it under Urn Full of Popcorn.
You did?
As my username because my name is already gone.
What?
Yeah.
Like Shandy Sullivan is already gone?
Yeah.
Like some weirdo took it or what?
I don't know, man. Somebody has my name on Instagram and they've had it for like 20 years and I've messaged them randomly every couple of years. Like, can I have my damn name, asshole?
Okay, so it's not their name. I doubt there's someone with that exact same name, right? So they're doing it because of you.
Yeah. It's annoying.
That's weird.
I've probably not a letterbox though. I don't know.
Maybe I don't know why it would say that.
2 stars for Friday the 13th, Part 7.
2, okay. So you should see mine because I'm so fucking nice. I'm nice to everything. And like someone on a Trailer Boys episode was like, "Oh, Timmy, what's the deal with your letterbox? A lot of 4 stars." It's like, you know what? It's because I don't spend my time trying to think about not liking something. You know what I mean? It's like, I have the whole belief system of not really thinking there's bad movies. And I don't really, if there's something I don't like, I just kind of let it slide. I feel like I don't need to tell people about it unless something really bothers me,
I don't don't know. I just see it as like, that's my opinion. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be anyone else's opinion. And
Right.
if you see someone's review of something and they rate it 1 or 2 stars and that makes you not see something, that's a you problem.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
You should have more responsibility about what you're doing in your life.
Yeah. And then the other thing I don't like is movie news sites, and there's not really as many of those as there used to be, but you would see people in the comments talking about a trailer for a movie and just being very dramatic about movie trailers. Like, this makes me worried. It's like, you're worried about a Spider-Man movie? I'm worried about, like, bills and shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not worried if a Spider-Man movie is going to be bad. If it's bad, it's bad, whatever, you know? Or like when I think people have, I don't know, in their minds kind of sped up somehow, because it's like, you know, like, okay, I'll just tell you this. I'll bet you $1 whenever the next time Taylor Swift releases a new album, right? No matter how long it's been or short a time it's been, articles, and you'll see people online being like, she's finally releasing new music. And they'll say that about like Lady Gaga when it's been 3 years. It's like, it's been 3 years. You know what I mean? Like, that's about, I mean, you got to write a new album. What, you want her to put something out every 4 weeks or what, you know? And same with trailers. Like, we finally got a trailer. It's like, yeah, you know, you'll get the trailer when you get the trailer. Like, there's other things to do. You know what I mean? Like,
I saw recently somebody asked Rihanna when she's going to release new music, and she basically looked him right in the eye and goes, I got kids. I got priorities.
yeah.
And music is not one of them.
Yeah. I mean, you know, yeah, let them. And do you really want people making stuff when they don't want to? I mean, come on. Hello.
No.
That was always a whitest kids thing. Is like, let's not, you know, we wanted a sketch or whatever that we're going to write to make us all laugh, you know? So.
Well, fans that are like that make me think of people that their whole identity is about sports.
Yeah.
And how they get so fucking irate when their team doesn't win.
Yeah.
Excuse me. If an artist doesn't want to release new music, it's not about you.
Right. It's so crazy.
It has nothing to do with you.
Parasocial relationships.
Mm-hmm. It's gross.
You get that from, you know, there's still people out there talking about you, I bet, you know? And obviously, whitest kids get that. And I'll step into the ring every once in a while. And I shouldn't, but sometimes, like, you know what? These fucking bitches must pay.
Sometimes people just need to be told from the horse's mouth.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Like, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Wake up, you dummies.
Yeah. You know, and it's so funny. Sometimes they'll be like, is this really Timmy? No, someone's pretending to be me and then shooing you out. What the fuck is the matter with you? So the Christmas movie we're talking about today is it's a classic. I feel like a lot of people watch it around this time, but it's also not super Christmassy, is it?
There are moments that feel a little Christmassy, but I just forget that it is Christmas time while everything is happening until those moments come up, like the carolers, and then I go, oh,
Right. Yeah.
oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, it doesn't hit you over the head with it. And so the movie we're talking about, of course, is Black Christmas. Well, I'm not saying of course, because I'm not expecting people to have figured it out from that conversation. But anyways, Black Christmas.
And it turned 50 this year, right?
It turns 50. Well, hopefully this is coming out on the day it turns 50, December 20th. I don't see why not. But hopefully that's what I'm going to do there. Written and directed by Bob Clark. Was it written by him too? So, no, it's written by Roy Moore, produced and directed by Bob Clark. And are you aware of Bob Clark's other films? You know who that is?
I do not. Do you want to lighten me, please?
Okay, so he did Murder by Decree, which is a Sherlock Holmes versus Jack the Ripper movie that I like. I'm just looking at his filmography right now, but so he did some other movies you may not have heard of, right? But he did Porky's and Porky's 2.
Hey!
And then right after Porky's 2, he made A Christmas Story. So this motherfucking Bob Clark has 2 of like the top Christmas movies for most people, you know?
Wow.
So, yeah, and then he made Baby Geniuses and Baby Geniuses 2, so whatever. But I don't know how that happened, but, you know, sometimes Bob Clark got to eat, you know, so.
Well, this will be another movie that's based on an urban legend, like The Burning was.
I don't really know about that with this movie.
So the urban legend is a story about a babysitter and the man upstairs. So it's that whole concept of having the person that's doing the bad things or already they're trapped in the house with you.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another movie that comes out a few years later, which is a psychological thriller, When a Stranger Calls. And it's basically the same thing. Is phone calls keep happening while this woman is doing her babysitting job. And it's like a weirdo on the phone. And then you find out that the call's coming from inside the house. Coming from inside the house. The only other real research I did for this was it's also based on some real life murders in this. From Montreal in 1943 called the Westmount Murders. It was about a 14-year-old boy alleged to have bludgeoned his mother with a baseball bat and hurt a couple of his other siblings. But when they found the boy, he was just sitting on the bed, completely dazed, in shock, just like totally unable to make any sense.
Whoa.
Yeah. Which, if you think about the killer in this movie and kind of the shit that he's projecting and some of the shit that he says, kind of reminds me of it. So there you go.
No,
that's
it makes
all the
sense.
Research for you.
There you go. Well, thank you for your research.
You're welcome.
Appreciate your dedication, diligence. That's interesting though. So, and I can, and that I feel like a lot of horror movies, especially the early ones, are kind of they take like I said, an urban legend or maybe something that really happened and kind of just take it and then kind of cruise with it. Go.
I had a thought that is maybe the holidays is a trigger for this guy and why he started doing all this shit.
Yeah, it could be that too.
Could be. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just one of my bajillion theories.
Were there any loafers in this? Hello? What? Hello? What the fuck happened?
Were there any loafers in this?
Oh, you were still laughing. Okay, good. I hate that it cuts out the audio because it's just fucking silent because you were laughing. So it's one of those things where it's like, oh, is she mad that I asked that? What the fuck is happening? Yeah.
No, I was really thinking really hard. Did I see any loafers in this movie?
You were actually thinking
I actually was, and then it made me
I'm
laugh.
sure the cops wore some, but it doesn't matter. You could say it's one of the first slashers, but you could also say that about Texas Chainsaw, and I don't know if I'd call either one of them a slasher, but this one would be more like one, I think. So, I don't know.
I mean, this, for me, has the best opening and ending of... I was thinking about this today when I was walking around. Like, this movie might be in my top 20 horror movies of all time.
It's so good.
It is pretty much perfect in my eyes.
Yeah.
And the first time I ever watched it, I just went, that's how you do a horror movie for me. Like, that's how you do it. You don't have to really fucking explain anything. And we talk about that every episode.
Yeah.
When you don't have things force fed to you, you're just kind of on the ride.
Yeah.
And this movie doesn't stop, and it has humor in it.
Yeah, that's what my big takeaway this time was. Oh, this movie's so fucking funny.
It's fucking hilarious.
There's two characters that make it... Well, there's three characters that really make it... Okay, well, there's four characters that really make it funny, okay? There's the house mother. There is...
Mrs. Mack. I love Mrs. Mack.
Yeah, Mrs. McHenry. And I figured out that's her full name from something that comes up in the movie, which is really weird. I never noticed before. Anyway, so Miss McHenry is fucking hilarious. Then you got Margot Kidder's character, Barb, fucking hilarious.
Barb.
And then you got, over at the police station, you have Nash, who's incredible. But then you have, and I never caught the guy's name until this viewing, but the other detective named Jeff. And Jeff's always just fucking, like, trying not to break down laughing at things.
When I was watching this last night, I went, does the guy do anything but laugh? Like,
he
that's
does.
his whole character.
He does. I thought that was his whole character, but then late in the movie, he actually helps for like he says like one helpful line.
He actually does something.
Yeah. It's way late in the movie when they're trying to trace the phone call, and the main cop, I can't actually remember his name, but it's played by I can't remember that. John Saxon.
I just wrote the lieutenant, but I wrote his damn name somewhere, but I'm not going to
It's John Saxon, who's the dad from Nightmare on Elm Street, the first couple, and he's the white guy from Enter the Dragon. So that's
so he's just fucking awesome.
Yeah, he's pretty great. And and if you are like me and dive a little further deeper into weird genre shit, he's also the weird alien bad guy in Battle Beyond the Stars, which is a ripoff is a strong word, but it was definitely trying to cash in on the Star Wars thing, and it's actually a retelling of the Seven Samurai, and but he plays a bad guy in that. And when did you first see this movie?
It was only a couple of years ago. It was pretty recent for me, actually.
How many times have you seen it?
I've probably seen it only about 5 times.
Okay. I think this will actually only be my 6th time, I think. At least I'm counting on my letterbox. I know I saw it for the first time in 2019. So, but you know what I did? I could have done this for a lot of movies. When we talk about one I've already watched, go into my letterbox reviews and use those as notes. Because sometimes I might have written something smart, pretty fucking rare, but maybe, and then I can say something. And the first line of my first review after I watched this for the first time, and I think this is a great way to start talking about it, is rotary phones are so much scarier than cell phones.
Hell yeah, they fucking are.
It's just weird. It's like the dialing, and it's like, of course it's bigger and it's stationary, but it's like the dialing and the kind of, it's not so easy. You can't tell who it is on the other end, that kind of stuff.
And the ring is so loud and it's jarring.
Yeah.
So if you're already scared and the room is really quiet and all of a sudden that loud fucking ring, I would jump.
Yeah, totally. When Trevor was my first friend who got his own cell phone, and that's the first ringer he put on was one that was just sounded like an old phone. I'm like, motherfucker, aren't you supposed to get some sort of techno song now so that doesn't bother us as much? But whatever.
I did the same thing. I had the old rotary phone as my ringtone. I liked it.
Yeah, why not? But yeah, it's just and it's used well in a couple of horror movies from around this time. Prom Night also, and it's I don't know. There's something about it. Maybe we're just being reminiscent old people or something. Anyways, but yeah, having someone in the house using your phone, that's just crazy. And the way this movie starts, like you said it's one of your favorite openings. So tell us how it starts.
It starts from the killer's point of view, creeping at a house. And what always freaks me out every time I watch this is everybody's in the sorority house. Everybody's having a good time. And he opens the front door.
Yeah.
But he doesn't go through the front door, but just the act of having somebody watching you and you don't know that they're watching you and opening the door is so fucking scary. And especially being a woman and having, you got guys that are voyeurs, you got peeping toms, you got guys that will literally stalk you and break into your house and sit there and wait to rape you and kill you.
Yeah,
so
it happens all the time.
Yeah, so that's why, to me, it's an incredible opening because you don't know who the fuck this is. You don't know. You just know that something nefarious. This guy is not good immediately.
Yeah, obviously. And they do that with, obviously, the way that they shot the POV and it kind of tries to go inside and then he doesn't. So it's okay, well, he knows he probably shouldn't go in the front door. So who is this, right? But then also the breathing. Which, and this was before Halloween and before Jason and stuff, but that's something that's become a thing, is if they're breathing weird, they're probably evil, So,
watching this one again, that's kind of why I like doing this podcast and taking notes is because I start to realize things for myself after a while.
Sure.
I'll watch a movie, but I'm not really paying attention to everything. But then watching it again, taking notes, my brain the wires start to turn.
Sure.
Is
making connections you didn't see before.
Right.
Yeah.
The breathing, because you know how he changes his voice? Mm-hmm. If you're going to be changing voices, your breathing's going to change to get to the different voices.
Yeah.
That's just my theory.
No, I like that.
I'm gonna have theories in this.
No, I know
that
this movie's this movie basically wants you to.
Yeah.
Especially when you talk about like the identity of the killer and also the one big red herring and how they have the same shirt and a lot of stuff like that. You know, so. I love it for that reason. And like you said, and also what's great about it is, yes, they leave it open to theorize about, oh my God, this or that, but also you don't need to if you don't want to. Like, because you're someone that does that. I'm someone that doesn't do that as often, although I wrote down thoughts about it for this time. But like, you know what I mean? It's like you can just enjoy it and be like, okay, well, that's it. Even though, yeah, there is, you know, and of course, as always, spoilers, whatever, you really don't find out anything about the murder. Like zero.
Nothing at all. Oh, well,
no
you
information.
find out a little bit about what maybe has happened to them.
Yeah, the things they say, yeah. That's a good point, yeah.
Then there's one more little research thing I did later on when he kind of starts doing all the weird voices and talking and stuff. The movie isn't just from the killer's point of view. There's that really ominous piano music that's happening too, which it adds to the creep factor.
Right, and there's harp with it too. And it's great. And also, you know, one of the main characters, Peter, is a pianist, and he's also a piece of shit, but we'll talk about that. But also,
fucking asshole, Peter.
Oh,
God,
he's the
damn
worst.
It.
Hey, every note I wrote about him ends with "what a dick."
I think mine was just,
I did that
fucking
on purpose.
dickhead.
But trust me, when we get more into Peter, because you know, we like as always, we might kind of go linear, we might not, whatever. But when we have a chance to really talk about Peter, there's a note I wrote for you that I think you'll appreciate. But we'll get there in a little bit. But but you know, he gets very angry playing the piano at one part and smashes it, and then it cuts to something going on back at the sorority house, and so it's almost like his music is carrying over the whole thing.
Yeah, and this movie does that a lot. With these really great edits.
This movie is so fucking great. And, you know, I think along with the POV shot, like, oh God, what's this guy doing? Me being a sufferer of ADHD, my first response when I watch this movie is always like, oh, those Christmas lights are so pretty. Because, like, right away, there's a wreath with red lights on the door. And then he turns and he's looking around the side of the house, and so you see a star thing with blue lights and one with green lights. And the way they're shot makes everything very glowy and very soft light. So there's a lot of like I don't know, not lens flares, but like, you know, the lights are shot kind of softly, so they're almost out of focus. So you kind of see, you know, little tendrils of light coming off them. I forget the words because I'm whatever. There's never a good time for us brain-wise to do this. Like, we're never at perfect fucking, you know what I mean? It's like, we're never at like, okay, now I'm the smartest I'll ever be today, so let's talk. Like, that doesn't happen.
That's never gonna happen.
Never happen. And not only does it never happen individually for either one of us, but it definitely will never happen for both of us at the same time.
I will even write down a smart note, but then I'll read it, and it's not gonna come out. The way that I wrote it.
And I won't even know what I meant. I'm like, oh God, that guy was so much smarter than me. The guy that watched the movie 3 hours ago. But you know what I mean? It's very beautiful looking. And
it really is.
And you have all these young, beautiful women, you know, of course, that like they're all the focus of the movie. So it's easy to make them look good. But also the way, like, there's a scene later when Jess, the main character, opens the door and she's standing watching the kids singing. And like she's framed with the red wreath there, and it just all looks so very beautiful.
Yeah, but we know what's going on upstairs.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, I love all these characters, but just the like emotional and mental anguish they put Jess through is interesting, because she doesn't get put through a physical ringer like Sally from Texas Chainsaw, for instance, but she gets put through an emotional and like you know, psychological ringer. And
she's already going through a whole bunch of shit in her personal life. She's
exactly.
Pregnant.
Well, and I'm talking about that is part of it. Like, there's, you know, when she's sitting, like, I'm not just including the whole scary stuff going on. She's also got all that shit on her mind, you know, and it's
and has an asshole boyfriend.
You know, and she does a good job acting, Olivia Hussey.
Mm-hmm.
So we're watching from the killer's point of view, and he's kind of checking out the whole house. Then he finds a trellis, and so he starts climbing it. And he actually starts climbing it in the same shot, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's so cool.
So good.
So awesome.
I think he's already scouted. He's been scouting and stalking this house and all these women, because when the phone call happens and she answers it and there's a man moaning, she mentions that it's not the first time it's happened.
And I even wrote in one of my old letterbox reviews, I said, it's not Christmas until Olivia Hussey says, quiet everyone, it's the moaner. That's
Dude,
what she says.
shit
The moaner.
he fucking says.
Oh, yeah, especially that first one. Because the first one is really dirty and nasty, and then he just gets super weird after that. But
I wrote it down, not all of it, but
Yeah.
I wrote, let me stick my tongue on it.
yeah.
Let me lick it. You big cunt. Like that shit, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my fucking God. Like, that is scary.
Totally. And might I add, you're a little too good at it. But
Was I? Was that good? It felt
It was
good.
pretty good. It was pretty good. It felt good. Shandy will be sitting home tonight like, that did feel good. I should just call a random number.
Well, I also found out there's significance to the pig snorting and like calling them cunts and shit. So
Really?
yeah, which I found that through some of the research where I went,
Okay.
oh.
Well, what is it?
So, because he keeps saying, like you pig,
Mm-hmm.
pig. But then he starts singing and he starts saying, Daddy's gonna hunting.
Yeah.
So that's a nursery rhyme
Oh.
from
okay.
the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically, and then there's a part in it that talks about getting something to cover the pig up. There's a pig in the nursery rhyme.
Oh, okay.
So the nursery rhyme is called Bye Baby Bunting.
Oh, sure. I've heard that one. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. And so
Wow.
when I was saying that, I think something happened that was like a nursery rhyme that like maybe his mother, or I think it's his mom, because he talks about
Yeah.
his
Agnes,
mom.
possibly. That might
Yeah.
be the
So it's like a
Agnes.
nursery rhyme. I really think, because he talks about, I think he's Billy.
Yeah. They refer to him as Billy, I think, like when writing about it, probably just because
Yeah.
it's easy. Or you could also
And
just
then-
call him the moaner. But
The moaner.
I do think he's Billy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's Billy, and I think he had a little sister named Agnes. And what I
Okay.
think happened, because they go, like he'll go into his mom's voice, and then he'll go into a little kid's voice really, really quickly, which makes me think he has like either multiple personality disorder or he's bipolar. But he will go, what did you do with Agnes? What did you do with Agnes? And I think he might have accidentally killed or
Sure.
murdered his little sister.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
kind of where all of this comes from, of like wanting to stalk women.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So yeah, I thought that was really cool to put do that nursery rhyme that has the pig in it, and then he's snorting at the girls, calling them fucking pigs.
That makes a lot of sense what you said. And I would add on to that, because it's a Christmas horror movie, and this always fucking happens. We talked about it last time. I'm sure his mom's mad at him for an accidental death of a daughter, and then she fucking abused him or something, and like helped drive him crazy.
But you know
'cause that
what
always
was
happens.
even creepier not the moaning was the creepy part.
Uh-huh.
The creepiest part was at the end. His
Yep.
voice switched and it got normal, and he goes, I'm going to kill you.
Mm-hmm. And he says it to Margot Kidder after she takes the phone
Like,
and
Holy
starts
shit.
like he's saying all this crazy stuff to Jess, and she's like a very nice kind of reserved young woman, so she's just kind of, her and her other nice reserved friends are like, oh my God, this is so crazy. And Margot Kidder, who is just a brassy drunk and looks like a fucking $1 million in this movie too. I wrote down, one of my first notes was like, her choker is hot. Like she has a choker
I
necklace
wrote
on.
the choker
Good
down
God.
too. I went,
So
man,
sexy. She looks great.
she's hot. That choker's hot. Her hair
Yeah.
pulled back is
Yeah.
hot.
Hot number. And she gets wasted. But so she's like, let me talk to this fucking asshole, because she's from the city. I'm assuming Toronto, but they're in a smaller town, it looks like, and she's from the city. She's like, this happens to be twice a day in the city, these guys call, which is probably an overestimate, but because that's a lot, right? So she takes the phone and she says all this crazy shit to him, kind of egging him on, and he talks about putting his juicy cock in her pink cunt and all this crazy stuff.
So crazy.
And then she's like, whatever. And then, when he just drops all the, he's doing all that kind of stuff. He drops and she goes, I'm going to kill you, and hangs up.
So
holy fucking shit.
Crazy.
And he does.
Yep.
Like, it's not even like a threat. He doesn't say it as a threat.
Nope.
He says it as fact. Like,
Yep.
I'm going to kill you, and then hangs up. Oh, that's scary. And the thing is it was either before or right after this, but she gets a phone call, and it's her mom, and she clearly has a shitty relationship with her mother. Barb does, and clearly her mom's like dating men and stuff, and doesn't. You pick a lot of this up just from the way she acts and the way her friends are looking at each other when she's on the phone.
Yep.
Like, oh God, she has to talk to that asshole again. And so she's talking to her mom, and the mom, and it seems like the mom's like just out kind of like shacking up with dudes, doesn't really care about her daughter, and so that's why Barb starts getting drunk, and or more drunk, and that's why she says all that horrible shit to Claire you were going to mention.
Yeah, because Claire goes, well, there was a girl that was raped in town recently. And Barb goes, well, you can't rape a townie. What the fuck?
Fucked up. Yeah, that is and that's like, she's taken, we've all done it. She's taken her, like emotions about something else and just taking it out in this horrible statement, and, because she knows it'll make Claire uncomfortable. And she doesn't like this Claire girl, so.
Yeah, when she even makes a comment about her being a virgin, too.
Yeah, what is she, a professional virgin? Is what she calls her. Which I don't even know what that means. She doesn't like that her mom doesn't like her. She probably doesn't like that she's a drunk. I'm sure she doesn't have an easy time with relationships, and all her friends have boyfriends, Mm-hmm. So, and she also has her choker. Did you notice what her choker says?
Fuck, I forgot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking she kind of gets after it. But, that's just because she just says yes to everything is maybe what that means. Which, hey, no judgment, no kink shame, or whatever. But, but then you got these girls who are a little more, traditional and have the boyfriends, and they're all going home with their families for Christmas and all this stuff. And, I think she kind of resents them. I think that's why also she gets along with the house mother, because their house mother, Mrs. Mac, they call her Mrs. Mac or something, but her full name's Mrs. McHenry. Her house mother is kind of like Barb if Barb were to grow up,
They're both alcoholics.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Mrs. Mac.
She's so good. What a fucking great character. And, this character isn't in other horror movies. I mean, there's a lot of these that are, a lot of horror movies have a kind of a Claire and a Jess and a Barb or whatever, and Peter. But like this, the Mrs. Mac is only in Black Christmas.
She loves her sherry.
She sure fucking does. I don't even think sherry's good. I wrote down sherry is gross. That's Reddit. I cook with it. I don't drink it.
Well, it's just funny that everyone knows that she's a drunk, but she
Right.
hides booze everywhere.
Well, and they're all drinking. It's like they have a wreath on Barb has a wreath on her bedroom door with shots and glasses and stuff.
I know, with like little tiny bottles of
it's so
booze.
great. It's like, it's a fucking college. It's a sorority. Everybody's partying. So it's like the fact that she has to hide it is
when
really
she
funny.
pulled it out, when she was brushing her teeth super aggressively and then pulls out the sherry bottle from the toilet and uses it to rinse with, I was like, damn, Miss Mac.
Yeah, I wrote something there. Oh, I said, look, I love a good time as much as anybody, but I have never been brushing my teeth and thought to stop in the middle to drink like toilet wine. Like, have you ever done that?
No.
Like, if you're messed up and brush your teeth and you stop to like do more, whatever.
No.
That's weird. It's crazy, right?
Once you brush your teeth, you brush your teeth.
Yeah, well, and you can drink more afterwards if you really want to drink, but it's just funny because to me, it wouldn't even be like when I say I haven't done that, it's not because I think I'm classy or I think it's low to do or a moral judgment. For me, it's only because the taste would be horrible. I don't want that. I don't want mint and like booze combined in my mouth, you know?
Yeah, no. I mean, unless it's like peppermint schnapps or
Well,
something.
right, but that's on purpose. You know, this is the mixing of two different things. Ugh, you know? It's like when you brush your teeth and have orange juice.
Ew.
That's horrible, right?
That's gross.
Mm-hmm. What is her cat called, the fluffy kitty?
Claude.
Claude. There you go.
Because she blames him for everything.
She really does. Yeah, and
Look what
you know,
you
I
made me
wrote
do.
down, I think we see a total of 6 hidden bottles of booze, or maybe 5. I can't remember. I wrote the number down. But
Well, you got the
there's
in
a
the
lot.
book.
Yeah, the encyclopedia, because she goes, B for booze.
Be the booze.
She opens it up and, yeah, has it hidden in the book.
In the
Then she's got-
toilet bowl.
In the toilet. And then she's
In the
got
closet.
in the closet, one of the
Purse.
Oh, when she's packing, there's one like in her suitcase or whatever. Oh, and there's one. The one in the closet is empty, and she's pretty pissed off.
She gets
about
mad.
that. That's so. She probably blames that on Claude too. She doesn't say.
Yeah,
It,
look what you did, Claude. You made me drink the whole bottle.
and Claude's a beautiful cat. Claude doesn't deserve that abuse.
Not at all.
Yeah, so it's a great way to introduce us to everybody because you kind of get everybody's deal right away.
Yeah, every single person's little nuances are shown right away.
Yeah, just kind of
Which
in
is
how
great.
they interact with each other. Yeah, it's really good. So at the beginning of the movie, as the killer is getting into the house, the party is wrapping up, and you hear, I think Phil or one of the girls go, "Party's over, all the men out." As we see what is presumably a man, we're not sure yet, but we see presumably a man come in at the same time. You know, and I kind of like that detail. They're making the boyfriends leave all the men out while a man gets into the building. You know,
Yeah.
it's creepy, really creepy. And then of course Claire goes up to. Claire's gonna go because her dad's coming to pick her up. So.
Oh, I hate the scene. I hate it.
Really?
It
too
just
scary?
gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah. She goes up and she's getting ready, and she's alone in her bedroom that she shares with one of the other girls, but they're not in there. So I think with Jess, right? So anyways, she's up there alone and starts hearing. Well, she hears what she thinks is the cat meowing.
Yeah, she's like, Claude, is that you, Claude? And then she grabs stuff from the closet, and then you just see him peering behind the plastic.
Yeah.
Oh God!
And you see her, but you see him before she does. They kind of show. You see his hand a little bit, and like one of his eyes, I think, just a little bit of him.
I'm like,
And-
he's there, Claire.
Yeah.
Claire!
It's so creepy. And then she just slowly starts to realize there's someone there. She's like, who's there? Who's there? And gets closer and closer. And it's like, I don't know if that's a great strategy. If you are pretty sure there's someone in the closet and you want to find out who they are, don't go into it. Fucking go downstairs, but whatever. I suppose, she just got fucked with by one of her sorority sisters downstairs, right? So maybe she's just thinking somebody's playing a prank on her, Because a
Yeah,
lot of the
that's
times when
what
somebody dies in this movie, they think that,
That's what I would probably think, but I'm just surprised she went to the cat and not
Right.
like, Barb, is that you?
Barb.
Are you
Yeah.
messing with me?
Yelling at Barb like I would. But so there's like it's like a wardrobe, one of those plastic wardrobe cover things that you hang your clothes in, right? And so he just grabs that and pushes it around her mouth and suffocates her, and it is really horrifying to watch.
It's horrifying because she screams, but then that's one of these really good edits where while she's screaming, it cuts to everyone downstairs that are yelling and chatting up Mrs. Mack.
Yeah, they're playing music. They're giving Mrs. Mack their like nightgown they bought for her. And yeah, while this poor girl's getting murdered, and the slasher trend, it hadn't really started yet. This is almost more of like an American or a Canadian version of a giallo movie. The weapons he's using are just kind of whatever he's finding.
Yeah.
And so that makes me even think more this guy's just nuts. Because and even if he did scout the place out, like you said, yeah, you're probably right about that, of course, with the phone calls and stuff. He still didn't seem to plan that he's going to kill people. It seems like he just wanted to go in there. And so then when he starts killing them, he's just using kind of whatever's around every time, He doesn't have a weapon.
Yeah. It's really creepy. They show him carrying her up to the attic. And everybody is so close.
Yeah, it's like they're 15 feet away.
I
Yeah.
have no fucking idea what is happening.
Yeah.
Fuck. That's
Well,
what's
and-
also scary.
Throughout this, the whole movie, they do keep cutting back to dead Claire. And the first time they do it, they cut to the shot, and her head moves into the frame. It turns out because she's in a rocking chair. But at first, I feel like it's maybe to be like, oh, she's still alive. Kind of trick you for a second.
Yeah, I thought that too.
And then the suffocation, I wrote suffocation with the plastic thing is so creepy because it basically has frozen her in her moment of death. So her eyes are still wide, her mouth is open, and she's like, oh, fuck, I'm dying. It's like still frozen that way. It's so sad and creepy. And, and again, that actress barely had any lines before she gets killed, but they give her a few moments, and so it is really sad. You feel, she seems like just a little sweetheart, right? And oh, God, she got murdered. You feel bad about it, So, and let's talk about the attic that he takes her up into, because, like you said in the beginning of the movie, we see him climb up in there. We see it a little bit before all the murders start, and, there's some weird shit in that attic. And I wrote, I think they decided what to put in the attic by thinking, hey, what's the creepiest thing to put in an attic?
Well, also, let's make it look like it hasn't been cleaned in 9,000 years and put
Right,
cobwebs
right.
everywhere.
Yeah, and the rocking chair. And then there's like a carousel horse. Mm-hmm. And there's a big hook thing, which I think that makes sense because it's in an older house, they would use that to kind of carry stuff. If something's really big and heavy to get into the house and it's going up on a second floor, they'd use that to like lift it through a window. So kind of makes sense why that big hook thing is there. I mean, we know why it's really there. But yeah.
The whole thing with the nursery rhyme and everything, and the rocking chair kind of goes into that. Then he also puts like the creepy old baby.
Oh, the baby doll. Yeah.
With her, and he's rocking her and singing that. He's singing to her.
Mm-hmm.
That shit's fucking terrifying. Oh my
You know
God.
what? I mean, okay, so have you seen the remake from 2006, Black Xmas?
Mm-mm.
The remake is kind of crazy, trashy, fun, just kind of up the level of everything, more Christmas-themed kills, but they explain the storyline of Billy. And which you don't need to do, but it's kind of, they do it in a fun way. It's crazy. But anyways, so I don't know if I'm getting this out of nowhere or if it's in that movie, but I just had the thought, like you're talking about the nursery thing and there's this like rocking chair horse thing up there. It's like, oh, maybe Billy was raised in this room.
Oh, this is the house where everything happened.
Yeah. And, and
I
it would
didn't
make a
even
lot
think
of
of
fucking
that.
sense. You know what I mean? And that might be related to the remake movie because maybe they pull some of that story in. But I don't know. But also it could have been that was part of the original backstory that they just didn't put in the movie. Then when they remade it, they're like, well, let's use some of that. So anyways,
Damn.
I mean, because it would make a lot of sense why he knows the house so well and all that stuff too. But like you said, he's also scouting it out. Well, since we're talking about the attic, I'll mention this, and I noticed it later. They show a shot. So basically, if you don't know, if you haven't seen this, he has there's a second line in the house, a second phone line. And this guy has gotten the phone, he brought it up into the attic, and he's using the second phone line to call them. So anyways, there's a shot later on where you see his hand pick up the phone, and there's a framed old poster. And it's also next to a picture of these two ladies. And did you ever catch what was on that poster?
Oh my gosh. No.
Okay, it says the McHenry sisters, which would be Mrs. Mack, and then her sister, who she is planning to go see until Billy has other plans for her. Man, I really need to organize my notes better than just here's a bunch of crazy shit. Like it looks like my notes look like the notebooks from Seven. So that's kind of a problem. It's a flyer. It says the McHenry sisters, and so it indicates that they're kind of like some sort of performer, that they were a performer duo or something together. And the way that she acts, I think like, well, they probably did something baudy. You know what I mean? Like burlesque, kind of sexy, kind of. You know what I mean? Because she seems like someone who's very sexually free. Like. It makes a lot of sense to me, but gosh, she says some good shit. So when they notice Claire is missing, that's the only kill that happens that night. And then the next day, most of the girls are out with their partner fraternity brothers, because that's how they always do that, getting some sort of Christmas party together for kids. In the meantime, Claire's dad is he shows up at school waiting to meet her. And she doesn't show up. And so, they end up kind of looking for her. He like is immediately kind of a dick to a guy. Right? Like immediately when we see him,
Well, he gets hit in the face with a snowball.
Oh, right.
He's like, what the hell? Why aren't you watching these fucking kids?
Well, and he's like, yeah, sorry. Should do a better job watching him. He's like, yeah, you should. He's like, I said I'm sorry, So, I'm sorry. He didn't say that. He said I'm sorry because it's Canada. So, yeah. But I like, you immediately kind of think this guy's a dickhead, the dad.
Yeah. Poor Mr. Harrison.
Yeah, but I like him. Yeah, he ends up kind of becoming a likable character. I really like the group they have, and it's the characters are likable. It also feels very realistic the way they go about things, and and so he ends up at the sorority house looking for his daughter, and like Mrs. McHenry's leading him around and like trying not to have him find out that it's like everybody's drunk and having sex all the time.
I really like the poster of the grandma.
I wrote that too.
Photos.
I want that poster.
I know, because it's like she's flipping you off in the last one, but I like what it said at the bottom. It said, express thyself.
Yeah, right? What the hell? I love that. So
what a
funny.
good poster.
And she tries to cover that when she's talking to the dad too, doesn't she?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the first one you see she tries to cover. Or no, he's looking at the middle finger while she's talking about like how nice everybody is.
And he's judging her with his eyes, and she's just like, well,
He's like talking about how he doesn't really approve of that behavior and drinking and all that stuff, and she's just trying to pretend like it's not going on. And then when he's walking around the room, she closes the door and notices another poster that is looks like a man and a woman having sex, forming a peace sign, and you see their asses. And so she just she leans on the door, puts her hand right over the butt. And like, not covering the whole thing. Like, you could still, like, if you did see, funny. You can tell that you can still tell it's two people fucking. But,
well, you have to think the whole time, man, she is lit.
Yeah, and she's drunk.
The whole fucking time.
Yeah, all the time. Because she's like, every room she goes into, she's like, find the brandy,
Where did I put my brandy?
Yeah, like every fucking room she goes into. And he's just like he's worried that his nice young daughter is staying in this house of ill repute kind of thing, and she's just trying to cover it up. But
this is when she drops all the shit out of her purse and she blames it on Claude, and she starts like cussing and shit.
All the shit falls out of it. She's like, Claude, look what you made me do, and then continues to like curse at Claude for like 5 minutes.
And then fucking Mr. Harrison's face is just right there.
Yeah, he's walking up the stairs, and so he's like right next to her face, and he's like, "That's so good."
But then she flips him off when he goes back down the stairs.
Yeah,
I love her so much.
And he's worried about, I forget I didn't write down his line, but he basically tells her that Mrs. McHenry's gonna like lead them down this awful path where they're going to drink and go out with boys, and that if it weren't for her, they would all be nice girls, right?
She's the enabler. Like, she's doing what she's not supposed to be doing as the den mother. She's like kind of just letting them run amok, do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, which is, she's cool. She's friends with these girls, whatever. But she, which is why she has one of the best lines of the movie. It is while she's brushing her teeth. This is all happening like in the same couple minutes, everything we've been talking about with her. But so she's brushing her teeth. She goes, I wrote this down. These broads would hump the leaning tower of Pisa if they get up there. I don't know what the bastards expect of me, Christ's sake. Because but she's right. They're girls in their late teens, early 20s. They're in their sexual prime. Of course, they're gonna want. Like, it doesn't matter who's in charge. They're gonna want to go have sex. They're gonna want to date people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's not gonna tell them they can't do it. That's stupid.
Right? Yeah, and she certainly isn't causing any horniness. You know what I mean? Like, he kind of makes it seem like she's doing it. It's like she's like, nah, these broads would hump the leaning tower. So
I also thought here too, when she dropped all her shit, that she was gonna get killed. Mm-hmm. But that didn't happen. It was too soon.
Right, it would be too soon. Because after Claire gets murdered, it's actually a good half an hour till anybody else does.
Yeah.
And really, There's not a lot of murders in this movie. It's an earlier slasher movie. There's not a ton. And when you think about it, Texas Chainsaw doesn't have very many either. Man, it's like, if, it's only like 5 or 6 people over 2 days. And it's like, I wrote, like, if Jason killed that many people in a matter of 2 days, they wouldn't even think it was important enough to make a movie about it. But it's a different thing. And obviously, this is also more about the mystery and the characters and stuff like that. But,
yeah, we're building.
If you build it, they will die.
If you build it, they will die.
Right. And and she also, and Mrs. McHenry somewhere in there tells Mr. Harrison that she was seeing a boy, Chris. And I got to get on 70s fashion for a second here.
I was gonna ask you, what did you think?
So, okay, I've said before, if you don't know, if you're listening and haven't heard me talk about this before, a lot of times in 70s movies, I find the clothes the women are wearing would still be acceptable now, but the men's clothing is bad. I think Margot Kidder's wardrobe, like we said, looks hot. I think she'd still be fine.
Hot.
But in this one, I think the girls' clothing, a lot of them are super duper 70s and would look dated now, Jess's sweater. Phil's like whole Afghan thing she wears around her for a little bit, some of that stuff. And and they're all pretty girls, they're all nice looking, all their hair would be fine, but I think a lot of the outfits would not be. And of course the men's are ridiculous too. And that's what I was getting at here is Chris, when you first see Claire's boyfriend Chris, it's actually he's walking out and he's got a giant one of those giant furry coats that like college athletes would wear. I don't know why that's a thing, but it is, back in the day. So,
well, doesn't Jess go to see him while he's playing goalie?
Yeah, and his goalie mask is fucking awesome.
Well, I didn't think about that till just now. Is that so? We've seen the killer's eyes, right? We've seen them behind the cellophane or that plastic. So I thought it was really cool whenever a new guy character would come on screen, they kind of did a close-up of his eyes, and he was wearing the mask, so you couldn't see any other facial feature.
Oh, okay. You couldn't see the color of his eyes?
Yeah. So you just kind of you're like, is that the guy? Can this be the killer? It puts a little bit of doubt in your mind, just a tiny bit.
For sure. And eye color is one of the only things they give you that actually, that helps you figure it out at the end. But anyways, the dad is like starting to look for his daughter, and then we cut to the Christmas party. What is this? Like, so you got the sorority girls and the fraternity dudes putting on this Christmas party for these kids, but they're all like cussing and drinking.
Ho, 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 shit.
Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho. Fuck.
Ho, 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 shit. Yeah. And then fuck. And like, he's so, and that's like his only scene. That's Phil's boyfriend. He's in the beginning a little bit, and then he's like in funny. That. And you know what? Even, like you said, they do a good job establishing the characters in a natural, realistic way very quickly. And so just from the 2 scenes you've seen with them together, it's like, I like their relationship. I bet they're great, They're probably pretty chill. They're probably fun to hang out with. They probably have great sex. You know what I mean? They seem like they're cool. But yeah, so he does not want to be Santa Claus. And then you got and he's swearing. And then you got Barb, who's already just fucking toasted. And she's like swearing around the kids too. And I was guessing it's like a service project or something. Like what?
Like community service type thing. Because they're a sorority, so they're going to help in the community.
Yeah, they got to do that stuff. Yep, for sure. And then they cut to the rehearsal space where Jess has gone to talk to her boyfriend, Peter, because he called her on the phone the night before, and he just immediately is complaining and stuff. Like, the first thing he says to complain, I forget what it is. Like, is the party over? Oh, I can't party. I got to work for my, he's rehearsing for his review the professors are going to give him of his piano playing. And he immediately just starts manipulating her. What a dick. And so she's like, I want to talk to you face to face. She's like, no, that's how we're going to do it. And, she stands up to him pretty well. I think in this movie, generally, women are standing up to men pretty well. What do you think?
I think so. His character makes me so mad.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, don't worry. This is the note that I mentioned, that I gave a hint about. It's coming. So, I know it's right here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so she goes to this the conservatory, which is their music school, right? And so she goes to Peter's conservatory, and he's playing piano, and she goes in to tell him, "I'm pregnant and I want to get an abortion." And I wrote here, make sure to give Shandy plenty of space to yell about Peter's reaction to Jess saying she wants an abortion, and let her know that you agree. So, take it away. Because listen, in other movies that we've talked about, when they're, especially, it's often a male authority figure, and I always fucking 100,000,000% agree with you, by the way, but when there's, like, often dudes, but, like, when someone's being shitty, you, like, fucking hate it. And I'm like, this is maybe the most easy to hate character we've come across in any of the films we've talked about so far. Like, this guy is such a fucking bastard.
He's selfish as fuck. And he only talks about him. Here he's like, well, don't you know what tonight is and like how important it is to me? And how dare you make a decision like that without even talking to me about it first? And how could you do that? Because we're going to have the baby. And he's basically just telling her what's going to happen, and like fucking forget about what the hell she wants, right?
Right. But what does he say? Don't you ever consider anyone but yourself? That's what he says during this talk too. And it's like, classic manipulative gaslighting bullshit.
Like, that's why she's there talking to you.
Yeah, because she's considering you.
Because she's thought about you. She could just go get the fucking abortion and not even fucking tell you she was pregnant, you asshole.
And she says that. She's like, I wasn't going to tell you.
Yeah. Hello?
But, you know, she wanted to work this out with her boyfriend and let her know what's going on. Yeah. And he's like, I can't believe you'd make this decision without asking me. It's like, oh, without asking you? like her pussy has to ask your permission for things? You know?
Well, she's telling you what her decision is. So deal with it.
There's a good old Chris Rock line from one of his older specials in the 90s, maybe early 2000s. I forget the exact wording, but he's like, when a woman tells her man that she's pregnant, there's only one acceptable response for the man. So what are you going to do? And that is 100% fucking correct, I think.
Yeah, that's the perfect response. Unless you've already been talking to your partner about making plans to have a child and things like that. But they're college kids that didn't plan on having a child. Mm-hmm. And she even says this later on where she's like, you know how he talks about how he spent 8 years living where he's living for his dream, and she's like, I want to still go after my dream. I don't want to give that up,
right? Just
because you want to have this kid that we didn't plan. No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. So he calls her at the beginning of the movie. Then she goes this scene, the rehearsal space. Later on, he stops by to talk. Right. And then he like calls her later crying and stuff. We'll get to that. But it's like, so the second time he goes to talk, when he meets her at their house, I wrote down, Jess calmly and nicely explains to him. And I mean, what she's basically saying is, listen, you dumb son of a bitch, I'm also a person and you can't just decide my life for me.
Exactly.
But she says it way nicer than that. She says it the way you just said it. She's very nice about it.
Yeah. Even when she's walking away from him, he's sitting at the piano and he's like, I'll see you later. I'll talk to you later. She says, yeah, she doesn't just keep going and just like, that's it.
He is such a fucking baby. It is crazy.
With his stupid ass turtleneck.
And there's dudes out there like this, you know, this is real guys. And I wrote a note here. We're not going to try and pronounce this actor's name right. But the guy who plays Peter, Keirdulea, Keirdulea, I don't know. But do you know what else he's from?
No.
2001: A Space Odyssey. That's Dave. That's Dave. Yeah. You've seen that.
I didn't look up any of the actors in this at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that I just knew because he's in like 2 movies.
Yeah.
This and 2001. He's in other stuff, but I mean, these movies are both huge. And it's so funny. Like, okay, so in this one, he's upset about a baby and an abortion. And what happens to him at the end of 2001: A Space Odyssey?
I can't remember.
He becomes a baby.
Oh, yeah.
He's the star child, right? He's that floating baby in space at the end. So, the guy loves, he's like, hey, Kyra, we have a good role for you. Is it about a baby?
I was going to say, he tells his agent he only does baby specific roles.
So I wonder if later on when Bob Clark did Baby Geniuses and Super Babies, Baby Geniuses too, if Kyra was like, oh yeah, because he's still alive. I wonder if he was like, yeah, let me in there. Bobby, hey, come on.
Hey.
That's my beau. Baby movies, Bobby. When there's a character in a movie who's like just a fucking scumbag, gets under your skin, reprehensible human being, For me, an important thing to remember is, well, the actor's doing a very good job.
Oh, he is so good at being a dick.
Yeah, because this character fucking sucks. He sucks so much. And, oh, God.
He gets put in all this precarious scenes where you keep thinking he might be the killer.
Mm-hmm.
But anytime I hear his voice or see him, I would think he's too much of a dick to be the killer.
Yeah.
Like, it can't be him.
Yeah, he would have to pull his head out of his own ass a little bit for a split second in order to plan killings, and he doesn't.
Yeah, and I said he's really just kind of butthurt about Jess and the baby and his piano career not going as planned. I don't see what that has to do with anybody else.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So,
because he's rehearsing, and that's what he keeps saying. But so after she tells him, "I'm going to get an abortion," and they argue, and she leaves. Then shortly after this, they show him at his review that evening, and I couldn't tell that he's not good. Could you?
I did,
tell.
and then he started sweating, and I went, he's gonna blame this all on Jess. It's all Jess's fault.
Yep. They make it obvious that he's not happy about it for sure, but I'm saying music-wise, I didn't think it sounded bad.
It sounded like shit.
Really?
Yeah.
I just thought it sounded fine, but I mean, it was a weird, aggressive piece, but I didn't think he was...
But it didn't sound good.
But if you just close your eyes and listen to him playing, I couldn't tell it was bad.
No.
Okay, all right. I don't know. I don't know much about... Shit, man, I was in a ska band. Don't take my music opinions for... don't listen to me. But so he fails it, and then what does he do? He fucking beats his piano to shreds with the fucking mic stand.
Well, that's what makes you think, okay, he might be the killer, because that's a little fucking... That's to 100.
Yeah.
I don't think you own that piano.
No, he doesn't.
That's
I said
school property.
Right. Yeah. I wrote, college was so inexpensive in the 70s, you could destroy a piano that you do not own, and it was still probably fine.
I mean, think about it. Your dream, you finally have a shot for your dream, and it's just you've completely shit the bed.
Yeah, he's pissed off.
I guess I probably would bust it up too.
Sure. Well, I always tell my daughter, I said, it is okay to have any emotion. What is not okay is to take it out on people or to hurt yourselves or other people with your reaction to it. And so beating up the piano, okay, fine.
What about the rest of the people that need to use the piano?
Yeah, what an asshole. You're right. So that isn't cool either. But what's really not cool is the way he reacts to Jess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's taking out his own frustrations on her, and it's super not cool. And, this is 1974. Women's lib was a big deal. Women were really starting to get some power and stuff. And this movie, I feel like, is fairly feminist. I don't know what you think. You're
I agree with that.
So, okay, yeah. And so you got this guy who's just fucking stuck in 1952. And, because like Shandy mentioned later on, when he comes to the house to talk to her, he's like, we're getting married. It's like, what, bro, what?
Huh?
You didn't even ask. You didn't even fucking give her a ring. We're getting married. Fuck you.
Just makes the decision for her.
Yeah, he basically just thinks he owns this woman. And it's like, yo, you met her clearly at college. She's studying. And she basically says this to him later, like, when you met me, I was in school. You know that I wanted to do something, So he's just a selfish bag of shit. And so, we see him kind of break down and break up the piano. And then we don't see him for a little bit.
There's another call from the killer. And this is when that's when Jess answers it. And that's when he starts doing the weird voices.
Yeah, multiple voices.
Where he's like, where did you put Agnes, Billy? Billy? Where did you put Agnes?
Yeah. Billy.
So fucking creepy.
Billy. So creepy. I love the randomness of the voices on the phone calls and the crimes in general. It seems to me this person just had a breakdown or something regarding their own family and randomly chose these girls.
I also thought that character, Billy, this character, the killer, is an homage to Psycho. Because it makes me think of him talking as his mother.
Yeah, and there's a chair in the window.
Yeah, there's a rocking chair.
From Psycho, yeah, for sure. We cut back to the Christmas party that the sorority and fraternity people are putting on. Mr. Harrison's there. That's when they have that cool shot Shandy and I were talking about.
Yeah.
But Barb is giving the kid champagne. He comes,
And
he,
she's
no,
cussing
he
and
comes up to
shit.
her. Yeah, this is why I love when you don't see. This is why I like to say, you know what? This is what I think show don't tell means. Is like the kid, she's sitting there drinking and talking to Mr. Harrison about Claire. This kid comes up to her and she's like, "Oh, you want some more?" So she's before we got into this scene, she's already been giving this kid champagne. And then, like, she's like, I think he's
hammered.
really knockered. Yeah, she says knockered or hammered or something. And he's just, like, standing there laughing. It's like, Jesus Christ. And it's so funny to me that they're like, you know, because, yeah, like you said, it's probably a public service thing through their sorority and fraternity. It's like, okay, so they do that, but they're, like, really bad at it.
Did your parents do, like, a New Year's Eve toast with champagne? Did they let you have a little bit when you were a little kid?
No, we just get sparkling grape juice. That's what I do for my daughter, too.
Oh, my parents let us have
Really?
champagne, but I thought it was gross, you know.
How old were you? The first
I
time
was
you...
little, you know,
Yeah?
because we'd be like, can we have some? And they thought it
Ugh.
would be funny because we would think it was gross,
Mm-hmm.
which we did. We were like, ew,
Yeah.
I don't want
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I've been talking to Margaret about that stuff, and you know, now she's 13, so she's starting to get into coffee. You know, she's like, I think it's an acquired taste. I'm like, yeah, you know, when you're a little older, alcohol's the same way. You'll probably like some of that stuff. And yeah, I mean, we're at the age now where it's like, I don't know, maybe I give her a tiny sip of wine or something on New Year's, or you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, she probably would like it anyways.
right? And she's so teensy. She's very petite, so like, you know. A pinhead of booze would probably get her drunk, so you know, you gotta be careful. But anyways, yeah, but it's just so funny. Barb is just so irresponsible and great, and so you know, but yeah, they're so bad at this party. Okay, you got Santa who's grumpy and swearing. You got Barb who's drunk and getting kids drunk, and then you got this guy with his missing daughter that he doesn't know has been murdered yet, but he just shows up.
I know, and they're acting like this when this poor man's daughter is missing.
Yeah, but he also brings his problems to a Christmas party and is discussing his missing daughter in front of these kids, and he's like, "Oh, she's shacking up with you know, all this stuff." It's like,
Oh my God.
like you guys are terrible.
I like that shot though of Mr. Harrison and Barb in the background on the chair, where it got really, it was blurry behind him.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I wrote all about it. So that shot is actually, they are both in focus. And we've mentioned this kind of thing. I've mentioned it before once. But that's called a split diopter, whereas the lens is actually two semicircles. And they're two different size of lenses, right? And you can tell, when you look at that show, you can tell by looking right in the middle of the screen. So on the left-hand side, you had Mr. Harrison way up in the foreground in focus. And then Barb's more in the middle ground drinking champagne. And you can tell because the kids in the background behind Barb are more focused, and the kid behind Mr. Harrison's a little more out of focus, right? Because and so you can tell that, but they're all at the same depth, so they're going to be in and out of focus depending on which side of the screen they're on. But that's so that you can see both of them, and it's because they're both like talking about Claire and talking about important things. So then they go to the police station, and the cops are fucking hilarious in this. And and I also found that to be more realistic, because they're not bad either. They're like, you know, they actually want to help for the most part, you know?
Well, the one behind the desk is so fucking incompetent and such a fucking asshole, and so like how cops are in real life, where they always say the same damn thing when somebody says, hey, our sorority sister's missing and this guy's daughter is missing. Like, she was supposed to meet him yesterday? Is this, so it's already a day gone by?
Yeah. So Claire dies at night, and then everything else is the next day.
Okay. Yeah, he's like, you know, I was supposed to meet my daughter. She didn't meet me because she's coming home for the holidays. And the cop, well, Nash, goes, I love that name, by the way.
Yeah.
Just shoos them away in a sense by what he says. He goes, well, she's probably like shacked up with her boyfriend somewhere. I wouldn't worry about it too much. It's like he's worried, hence why he's standing in front of you.
Yeah. Like
Hello?
He's already worried. Yeah. He's just, and you know, Nash is like, he's definitely aggravating and not really good at his job. He's also trying to like manage a busy police station. So, okay, it's right before the holidays. Okay. But yeah, he is being very dismissive. And Barb makes him pay for it. This is so fucking awesome. And because basically he's like, well, you know, give me your phone number. If you hear anything, we'll call you, is basically what he says. Like, what an asshole. You know, I forget. It's easy to forget that back in the day, when you just had a 7-digit phone number, the first two characters in that 7-digit phone number were actually letters back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so theirs was FE20880. And he's like, what's your phone number? She goes, Fellatio 20880. He's like, Fellatio? Yeah, it's a new extension. And everybody's just like biting their tongue, watching this fucking moron write it down, you know? And they do a great job of just not doing anything else with that for a little while. And then when it comes up again, you already see a guy laughing about it. Then you find out, oh my God, they finally found out about Fellatio. You know, it's so fucking good. Right? I mean, I thought so. I thought it was played very well, that joke, you know? And then it goes to another great bit right after this when they're back at the sorority house and Barb's drunk on the couch.
I mean, she's drunk. And I also wrote this down at some point. I went, how many goddamn cigarettes has this girl fucking smoked?
Well, you know what? I don't know. I could look into the behind the scenes, but you know, Margot Kidder had a major problem smoking. Like, she is dead now. And she had, like, if you ever saw footage from her later in her life, like, or listened to her, her voice was fucking gone.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so she, because obviously Margot Kidder, for anyone who doesn't know what the hell we're talking about, a couple years after this, she played Lois Lane in the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, and was fucking fantastic. She's still the best Lois Lane. I mean,
think so too. She's my favorite Lois Lane for sure.
Because she's just like in this movie, she's brassy. She's got some fucking balls on her, and she like doesn't take any shit. And you know, there's been some very great actresses that have played Lois Lane since then, but none of them have really nailed that like. None of them are just I don't know, a shit kicker. Like, you know what I mean? Like, none of them are like, I won't worry about Amy Adams punching me in the face.
No.
I won't worry about Kate Bosworth punching me in the face.
No.
I would be worried about Margot Kidder punching me in the face.
Yes, I would
She'd
worry
probably
about
haul
her
off and punch me.
flicking her fucking cigarette at me.
Yeah, right? You can just picture it so easily. Her, like, you say something that pisses her off, you can so easily picture her throwing cigarette down. It's like, all right, motherfucker, and then just punching you in the mouth. You know? Like, it's very easy to picture her. It's just like, listen, you son of a bitch, you know? Because she calls everybody a son of a bitch in this movie. You know? And they are. She's right. But yeah, she's drunk, and God, like, she's trying to just fuck with, she's not taking this thing seriously yet. And she's trying to fuck with Claire's dad, which sucks. And, you know, obviously, like we said, she's externalizing her issues with her mother by being shitty to other people, particularly people with good family relationships, you know. And me, coming from a background where I have a very rare, amazing family relationship, I've had friends in my life in New York and in other places that sometimes treated me negatively, and I think the real reason behind it is because they were not necessarily jealous, but like resented that I didn't go through the same shit they did. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's what she's doing.
She definitely is. She's like, oh, this guy actually cares? Well, fuck him. My mom doesn't care about me.
But at least she does it in such entertaining ways, because this whole fucking spiel she goes into is fucking great. Right? This is the turtle thing.
Oh my God. I like her. When we were talking about clothes, I love this black top with the cherry. It looks like cherries on it. Yeah. She just looks so good, but she is definitely, she's at her limit with the booze because she's starting to slur her words. Yeah.
And she's talking about how there's a species of turtle that has sex for how long? Like days, right?
3 days.
3 days. And then she said, I learned this when I was at the zoo, or she went to the zoo to watch them. And she said it was very boring.
She said it was boring. Yeah, so she went to watch the zebras.
Right.
Because, and then she says premature ejaculation, which like cracks her up so much.
Right. Because she says it only lasted 30 seconds with the zebras because of premature ejaculation.
I'm like, this poor man can't even eat a plate of food because he's so worried about his daughter. And this fucking bitch is over here making jokes.
Yeah, laughing about male problems specifically too, you know, which I thought was like another kind of feminist slant here. Like, haha, premature ejaculation exists and it's fucking stupid, you know? like not a problem we're taking seriously, you know?
No.
And, I wrote here, too, the drunken turtle monologue is probably how Margot Kidder booked Superman. I have nothing to base that off of. I just feel it in my gut. You know what I mean? Like, they saw this, they're like, this lady's fucking perfect. You know?
Well, I know throughout the movie, we keep getting shots of like Claire dead in the rocking chair, like
Yeah.
either from outside of the house
Yeah.
or inside of the house with the killer.
Mm-hmm.
And when dad, refuses to play food, he's like, I can't even eat. I'm just like, so upsetting to me that his daughter is literally above his head.
At this point, you do feel, even though he started off kind of being a prick, like, okay, no, you feel bad for the dad, and you think Barb's kind of being a shithead by, like, egging him on like this.
Well, Barb starts yelling at everybody like, I know y'all think that it's my fault that Claire's missing. I know y'all think it's my fault. Because, in the beginning of the movie, we find out that she's been giving her shit and that, like, oh, maybe she pushed her away. Maybe she is the reason why she's gone. But we know that's not the case.
Yeah, we know. She's not even gone. So, yeah.
There's a lady in the police station talking about how her 13-year-old is missing.
But also, in the meantime, Jess has gone to talk to Chris, who was... Chris is the guy we talked about a little earlier, the hockey player. He was Claire's boyfriend, and so Chris storms into the police station with some of the other characters because he finds out like nobody's done anything yet, and he's pissed. And it's a smaller town. He's what they call a townie, not a college student from somewhere else. He lives here, so he calls Nash by his first name. He goes and talks to the detectives by their first name. So, and at that time, we also see the lady saying like, "Where's my daughter? My daughter's missing."
Which is crazy. So we find out in the beginning that a woman was raped not too many weeks ago. Now we have a 13-year-old girl missing. I wrote a note of, killers usually start off with rape and then they escalate to murder. So I think Billy raped this girl and he's killed this 13-year-old and he's hitting his peak.
That is another realistic thing. They kind of build up to it. But now everybody's kind of starting to figure out what the fuck's happening. Something's going on. Mixed up in this time, So they're back at the police station, and they're being like, why haven't you guys started looking for Claire yet? And so that's when they get a search party together. But at the same time, Jess goes up to Nash, the front desk cop, is like, I'm getting these dirty phone calls, these obscene phone calls. And he's like, we have a lot going on right now. What's your address? And... she gives him the address. So Nash is in their office, and he's like, these people are getting dirty phone calls. And he sends the address, and the main lieutenant's like, what the fuck is the matter with you? This is the same address. Well, I don't know. He's like, no, this is important. It's clearly connected, It's like, Nash, you're a fucking moron. And he's like, here's the phone number to give them a call back. And the other detective already knows because he's laughing in the background.
He's fucking cracking up.
And he can't fucking keep it together. And Saxon looks at it. He plays it perfectly. He just looks at it and he's like, he's mad, but he also thinks it's fucking hilarious because he's like, Nash, I need to talk to you about this phone number. Fellatio? And he's like, yeah, that's the girl's phone number. It was an extension. And they're just keep laughing and keep laughing. And then he goes, it's something dirty, ain't it?
I like that he still doesn't get it, though.
Yeah, he still doesn't know. He's like, Nash, you wouldn't be able to pick your nose without written instructions.
Yep.
And the other detective is just flipping out. And so then they realize that after they get the info from Nash, like, okay, so this girl's dealing with that. The girl that went missing from the same house where this girl's getting obscene phone calls, and this is their phone number.
Yeah, this can't be good.
Yeah, obviously. And it's, and then, they're out looking through the woods or through the park for dead bodies, and they unfortunately find the 13-year-old girl's dead. And that's a sad scene to see the mom see it,
Yeah, it's really, really scary and really, really sad. And even with like all this kind of stuff that's going on, one of my favorite things happens. The cat Claude, there's a great shot of Claire's body rocking, and the cat is sitting on her lap and like licking the plastic like near her face. Great shot.
Yeah, really great shot, really weird and creepy.
Is this at the same time what happens to Mrs. Mack?
Yeah. Claude's in the attic and he's licking the dead body. She's like, Claude, how'd you get up there, Claude? Because she's going to go to her sister's house, but right as she's trying to leave, she hears Claude. So she's like, well, where is he?
Like,
because when you're drunk all the time, you're easily distracted. And,
look what you made me do, Claude.
Yes. Yeah, suddenly this is important, so I gotta go find a cat. It's like, you're not bringing the cat, like, just, why? Okay, whatever, you're drunk, that kind of thing.
You have to say goodbye to your cat before you leave.
Yeah. Oh, I get it. I say bye to Roy when I leave for work in the morning.
It's
She doesn't give
important.
shit. Yeah. So she's like, and she's climbing up in the attic, and she's like, "How'd you get up here, Claude?"
If I live somewhere, I kind of know where everything's supposed to be.
And you can kind of notice in your peripheral vision too.
Right. I would have been Mrs. Mack. Like, why the fuck is this open sticking my head up there? Her kill's so cool.
Yeah, fantastic shot of the killer. And we get a tiny bit of a look at him. We see his sleeve. He has green sweater sleeves. And the only other person we've seen wearing a green sweater so far is Peter.
Peter.
Yeah, and so we see his eye maybe a little bit, and he swings the hook down at her, and she starts screaming, and then boom, it hits her in the face and like pulls her up. It's so fucking awesome. What a crazy ass kill. You know?
So fucking crazy. And then the taxi driver is like goes to the door. He's like, "Hello."
Yeah. He's like, that's a cool shot of him at the door because it's like got the reflection and like the Christmas decorations and stuff.
After the killer kills Mrs. Mack, his freak out is so chef's kiss because he starts like screaming and freaking out and like throwing shit at Claire's dead body. Like he's just throwing shit around and destroying everything. And it was like, I don't think he meant to kill her. I don't think that was part of the plan.
Yeah. I don't even know if he knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? He seems to be so insane with whatever his problems are that he's not even present.
Mrs. Mack screams. He freaks out. You're like, what the fuck is wrong with this person?
Yeah, it just reminded me right now. It's kind of similar to a moment you loved from Texas Chainsaw when Leatherface kills. After Leatherface's second or third kill, he's like, and it's kind of in the similar point of the movie, right in the middle, So
it's like the same vein of like, fuck, I don't want to be doing this.
What the fuck is happening? Yeah,
because he's like, he kind of comes out of his little psycho freak out. It's reminiscent to what Mrs. Mack keeps saying about Claude, like, look what you made me do. And now this guy's like, look what you made me do. Like, look, like you made me do this. I had to kill you. Like, why did you come up here?
I think that is my theory. Claude is behind the whole damn thing.
It's Claude.
Claude, you motherfucker.
He was really getting tired of being blamed for fucking everything.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to kill all of you. I'm going to make this guy fucking do it because I don't have thumbs. So. I'm not a Hemingway cat, okay? I don't have thumbs. I'm going to have this guy do it.
But there's another really good edit here of like Miss Mack is screaming, and then there's it goes into the shot of the girl screaming that she found the little girl.
Yeah.
There's so many good shots like that.
Transitions.
In this movie.
Very good transitions.
There's another obscene phone call that Jess picks up. And the killer's just had that freak out, right? Where he's like, oh my God, look what you made me do. He asks for help. He goes,
oh, he does? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he goes, please help me, filthy Billy.
But at the same time, Peter has come over to the house because they had told her, he had said earlier he'd come over to talk to Claire. So he's there, and he's being a complete fucking snowflake asshole, of course. She says, I'm worried about Claire.
He goes to Jess, Claire's okay, which is a little, like, how do you know?
Yeah.
It's a little suspicious.
And yeah, because he just says Claire's okay, which is suspicious, but he's doing it to dismiss it because this isn't about me, so I don't want to talk about this problem.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So he just said, oh, she's fine. Let's talk about me and my fucking turtleneck, So. And like he tries to tell her that like, yeah, if we get married, you can still pursue your dreams. Bullshit. This guy has such a fucking owner complex when it comes to her. There's no way he would let her do anything. He would make her have the baby and make her raise the kid and make her not ever get to put on shoes. Keep your ass in the kitchen. You know what I mean? Like that's how he
it gave that vibe for sure.
Just such a fucking prick. And when they're talking about the abortion, he's like, I can't believe you're going to kill our baby just like you're having a wart removed. He leaves to go lurk in the trees across the street like a fucking weirdo. He's creeping around the rest of the movie. He's creeping around the house.
He's creeping. He totally is.
The rest of the movie, he's just fucking lurking. He's such a fucking
God.
Should have stayed in space, you asshole. Anyway. So she's sitting down alone. And then we cut to a shot upstairs, a point of view shot. the killer is coming into where Barb is, and it's mostly black. You see the door open, and when the door opens, the light comes right on this crystal unicorn sculpture thing.
Mm-hmm.
A little knick-knack. And
very
you see
sharp point.
Yeah, with a very sharp point. A little bit of foreshadowing. Yeah, but then it cuts to Jess again sitting downstairs being sad. Now suddenly Barb from her room starts making weird noises. Like that. Right? That's around this time. Yeah. So now we've just seen the killer go in the room and he looks at a sharp thing. So we're like, oh, she's fucking dead.
Yep.
And she goes up there and she's having an asthma attack.
Yeah. I said this before, maybe an episode or two, where a horror movie will have an explanation for things. And this was a really good one. Like, oh, she's making that noise because she's got asthma. But I mean, we know better as the viewer.
Yeah, so Jess goes upstairs to help her. She doesn't see the killer anywhere, and Barb is fine and alive, and she's pointing at the asthma of the, what do you call it? Not a breathalyzer.
I mean, she needs one.
Yeah, what do you call that? The
Inhaler.
Thank you. Okay. She sees the inhaler, and so she helps her. And I wrote here, too, like, they're really good at making you care about these girls. Just watching Jess sit alone by the fire, wondering what the hell's going on. It's sad in a way. And, she's worrying about her friends, worrying about Peter, and worrying about the baby. And like you've been saying, so much going on with her.
So much is going on.
So much. And there's also this great undertone that I kind of felt this time that I didn't always catch. Like, there's these young women. They've been striking out into the world to pursue their dreams, right? They're all at college and stuff. And they're very strong. Like we've said, this movie kind of has a feminist slant to it. It was written and directed by men, but like probably cooler men, like, but they're like pursuing their dreams and everything. And yet the movie's constantly reminding us they are still vulnerable to shitty men. Mm-hmm. And even despite that, these women are doing the best to support each other too, so. Yeah,
even though Barb's been a fucking asshole this whole time, she's still concerned about her and, want to make sure she's okay.
Yeah, it's make sure she's okay, and you also kind of know why she's being a dick. It's that she's not just some selfish prick like Peter.
She was still in such a drunken state, man, when she goes, I had a nightmare. There was a man hovering above me. I was like, oh my God, because there was.
Right. And Jess is like, oh, you're just, you were sleeping and had a dream. And so she helps her get back to sleep. And what does Barb say as Jess walks out? I should be so lucky to have a stranger come in my room.
I was like, be careful what you wish for is what I wanted to say. But
so then Jess hears some singing, so she goes downstairs. And this one, they showed the curtains downstairs, which they've shown it a few times, but a good close-up. I said, those curtains are bloody murder in and of themselves. The curtains are so fucking 70s. They're like red with like these weird lines and shit. And I'm just like, good God, they're just ugly. When we moved into my house, the basement, my parents' house, so back in 1991, the basement, like the people living there were a guy and a lady, and they were older, so their kids had already grown up and moved on. So that means, when your kids move out of the house, you can like do other things with your house. So the basement, which used to be bedrooms for the kids and stuff, they had a pool table and you had a bar, and there was even like a grill built in, so you could grill meat down in the basement.
Oh.
And the wallpaper was like black and white plaid. It was like you couldn't even fucking look at it, right? It was like, God. But then the part where the bar was had martini and olive wallpaper, right? And like, black and red shag carpet. It was just fucking. He had a dark room down there. It's like, I'm sure they probably shot some kinky 70s sex photos of each other. You know what I mean? There's probably some weird shit going on, but it's just very 70s and just reminded me of that. But. Yeah, she hears us singing, goes outside, and there's this little chorus of children singing Christmas carols, and they're doing a really good job, right? That's actually a nice version of it.
I was singing out loud with them.
First, she's very happy, and you kind of see several different emotions go over her face at this point, because, like we keep saying, this girl's in a fucking whirlwind right now, Well,
now she also thinks that, like, her boyfriend's also the moaner.
Right, yeah.
On top of everything.
Yeah. Not even knowing yet that could also mean he's a murderer, you know? So while she's out there with the kids singing, now the killer finally does finish the job with Barb. This was creepy too, because this is like a famous shot of him. Like Barb wakes up to see the killer over her holding that fucking unicorn.
And you see a turtleneck.
and you see a turtleneck, and you see a little bit of his eye, though.
Yeah.
And then you see his eye a little closer up later on, but like, so he has brown eyes. But so you see him raise the thing and just like, she's like about to scream when he starts stabbing her and kills her. So it's brutal. It's a brutal death. And, you know, she's a great character. It's too bad.
It is really bad. But I'm like, how convenient is it that Claire was supposed to be going away? Yeah. So, and then like, and Mrs. Mack was supposed to be going somewhere. So nobody's really going to be looking for her.
Right.
They're just going to assume she's gone.
And Barbara's going to go skiing.
Yeah.
So, so now Barb's dead.
Oh, Barb.
Too bad. And at this point, Phil has come back. Is this when the cops come over to their house? Yes, because they get in touch with her about the phone thing. They're like, oh, you're getting dirty phone calls too? Because Nash finally fucking remembers to tell them about that.
Well, this is when I remember Lieutenant's name is Lieutenant Fuller.
Okay.
And I wrote, thank you, Lieutenant Fuller, for wearing gloves while you're wandering around Claire's room and touching shit.
Yeah. And around this time, they're getting the cops are getting set up on her phone, on the phone at the girl's house, so they can try and track where this obscene phone caller, who they don't know is also a killer, but so they can track where he's calling from. Mm-hmm. And so he comes over and he's helping them, and he comes over with the phone guy. And I wrote, the phone guy's utility belt is rad, right? Because he has like an extra receiver hanging off it. He looks like a phone superhero, right? And I was thinking I should be him for Halloween or something, right? Maybe if we ever can meet up for Christmas and do a Christmas show or something, you could do, I don't know, you could wear one of the costumes from here. I'll be the phone guy. You could be Nash. You could be Mrs. Mack. That'd be a good costume.
I'd be Mrs. Mack, and I'd have like a white stuffed cat animal with me and my bottle of sherry. Hello.
Yeah. Very good. So like while the guy's setting up the phone, the lieutenant's like, can I go look at Claire's room? So he goes up there with them. And so this is the shot I kind of mentioned that's going to come up earlier. So we talked about that shot way earlier about the split diopter thing where you see Mr. Harrison in the foreground and Barb in the background, and they're talking to each other, and they're both in focus. So now we got a similar shot where the cop is in the foreground and the girls are in the background on the other side of the shot, but they are out of focus. And it almost indicates that that there's a reason they're out of focus, because he's asking these routine questions about, did she have any other boyfriends? Did she do this or that? And they're like, no. And I get the feeling that they didn't focus on the girls answering his questions, because he doesn't even look at them. So you just kind of see them say no, out of focus, and maybe shake their heads. And I think the reason they're not focusing on it is because he knows it's not any of that shit. He's just asking the routine questions he has to ask for his job, right? Mm-hmm. He's just going through the fucking motions, checklist, when he knows there's something worse happening. He's just asking the questions he's supposed to ask. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay. And then, of course, right after I typed that, then he was dismissive about the second phone line at the house. Because they go back down, and the guy's finished tapping the phone. He's like, is there a second line? And he's like, yeah, the house mother has a second line, but it is not, no one's calling on it.
Yeah, he does say that.
That's the last they mention of it. It's like,
he's like, yeah, but it's not coming from there.
Yeah, it's like, okay, let's go. God damn it.
Because they just have it. I mean, who would think? Like, what? I mean, we've watched this movie, so we already have that idea, but who would think that it would be coming from inside the fucking house?
Right.
Like, because
that other movie you mentioned hasn't been made yet, so they haven't seen it.
I mean, it would be logical that you're taking all this time to trace a phone because it's coming from somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
You're spending all these resources. There's no way it could be coming from Mrs. Mack's fucking phone.
Nah.
Around this time is when the killer hands the scary baby doll to Claire's dead body, and he sings a nursery rhyme again, and it goes, bye baby bunting, daddy's gone a hunting. He'll never get this rabbit skin to wrap the baby bunting in. I'm sending you a photo of the sheet music because it's a nursery rhyme, so you sing it. So it's like, bye baby bunting, daddy's gone a hunting.
All those old nursery rhymes, they're always so fucking creepy. There's always weird shit happening, and like Mother Goose stories and stuff, always weird.
So fucking creepy. And this hunter kind of looks like Mrs. Mack a little bit. I'll send it to you.
Whoa!
So weird.
Oh, she does. You know what? It also looks like those the two guys that show up at the house in a little bit. They're like, oh, we're just going house to house and making sure you're okay, you know.
Oh my God.
Like,
they scare the shit out of them.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking assholes. This is not what you do when people in your town are getting raped and murdered and they're women and children.
Right, going around the house to the back door with guns.
And looking through the window and
Yeah.
staring at women.
Yeah, because at this point, Phil's telling her, I'm very worried, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then she sees these guys there, and they're part of the search party. They're going around trying to check on things, but they're just not very good at it. And Phil wants them to leave them alone. So she's like, oh, our dog died. Like, oh, we'll let you girls alone. We're so sorry.
You know what Phil says when they close the door? She's like, I'd rather face the killer. And I'm like,
Yeah.
You're gonna in a minute, so.
Yeah, you're about to, baby. So
Another be careful what you wish for thing.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even catch that one right after the Barb one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and these guys are just trying to help, and now they're sad about a dog based on lies. That's what I wrote down, but... So then the lieutenant goes back to the police station. He thinks Peter sounds like the right suspect for all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to go investigate Peter. But before he leaves, someone storms into the door. It's this old man and a police officer, and this old man shot this police officer in the butt.
For trespassing.
Yeah, for trespassing. Because, like we said, everybody's out and about looking for killers. And so...
I think he shot him with buckshot, right?
No, birdshot is what they say. Birdshot. So yeah, but that's little tiny balls. Yep. The cop's like, he should have to remove all the pellets out himself.
Yeah, next time I'll shove it up your ass.
Then as he walks away, he goes sideways, which would be very painful. But yeah.
Stupid ass cops.
Yeah. So Jess gets another obscene phone call, and one of the lines he says in there is like having a warrant removed.
And I wrote, oh my God, that's exactly what Peter said to Jess. Holy shit.
Holy fucking shit. Now she thinks that Peter's involved in this, and so do we as an audience, obviously.
But then she doesn't tell the lieutenant.
Right, but he's starting to figure out on his own that this guy's fucked up, though, But
yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're trying to trace it, but the killer hangs up on her. They're like, well, can you try and keep him on longer?
Then right after that, there's another phone call, and it actually is Peter, and he's calling, crying.
Yeah, he sounds like the killer.
Yeah, he's like, don't kill the baby.
Oh, baby.
Don't kill our baby.
As
I wrote that too, I was like, that sounds like the killer.
That's what I said, too. I said, Peter even sounds like the caller now. What a dick. So they're listening to this, too. The cops are. And Jess is like, where are you? Click. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
And that's when the lieutenant calls her. He's like, so what's the fucking deal with this guy? She's like, well, we had a fight and all that hell was I'm very nice to everybody. And, I'm not going to tell you the information that you absolutely should hear. But,
Doesn't Phil say to her, like, why didn't you fucking tell him? Like, why didn't you say anything?
Why didn't you tell him that Peter said that? She's like, oh, no. And I just don't think it's Peter. Because then she's like, well, Peter was here when he called me once. And that's true. So then they figure,
that's
okay,
true.
So Peter can't be the obscene caller.
Nope. We already knew that.
Huh?
We all
knew that.
Oh,
but in our minds, we're like, well, he still could be the fucking murderer.
He still could be.
Well, the thing is they want you to think that, obviously, right? Because they got the matching sleeves. Peter's turned into a fucking maniac. This is enough already for the cop to be like, this guy sounds weird. So then he asked Nash or somebody to look up all the information on Peter Smythe. And I was like, of course his fucking name is Peter Smythe. That sounds like a shitbag. Smythe. Peter Smythe. Fuck you.
Is this when the cop goes to the conservatory and finds the piano all busted up?
Right around this time, yep. Phil is like, I'm going to go check on Barb. And Phil goes up there to check on Barb, and the killer grabs her and slams the door, and they do another great transition. The door slams because now the killer's got Phil. We know that.
Oh, yeah.
And then the cut is to the door to Peter's conservatory opening, and that's when the detective sees that his piano has been smashed with the mic stand and everything. So
Yeah, and he's like, this guy's off his fucking rocker. Ha 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 ha. Call back to the rocking chair.
Good job, Shandy. Good job.
Thank you. I'm really good sometimes.
All the time.
Sometimes all the time.
Fuck the haters. They do a good job of keeping you on your toes, because at this point in the movie, Peter can't be the caller, but he could still be the killer, even though we've probably been assuming it's the same person the whole time. The caller and the killer are the same person. Now they kind of are maybe hoping you think like, well, maybe they're two different people, you know?
Well, you could think that too, because the caller has like split personalities. He keeps sounding like different people.
Because they've heard a few of these calls now. So the cop asks her, like, so when he was doing this, he used more than one voice like this on the other calls? She's like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Shandy, I want to tell you, if you ever get interviewed about this podcast, you'll hear similar questions. They'll be like, so when he was giving you his stupid opinions, did he use more than one voice like this?
Yes.
Hopefully they never investigate me for something like that. I wouldn't do that.
Oh
I wouldn't be good at
God.
this. I wouldn't be good at killing people. I wouldn't even be good at obscene phone calls. Because I
You
do
would
it.
be good at obscene phone calls.
Okay, I'd be good at the voice. Hold on. I'd be good at the voices. You know, all that stuff. That at the end, because I'm just so fucking anxious all the time, and I just always want to be on the same page. I always want everybody to be on the same page. So I'd be like, do all the crazy stuff. Then I'd be quiet and be like, do you get what I'm doing there? Did you like that? What do you think about that? And they're like, Timmy? Oh, no, that's not Timmy. And then I hang up, you know. So
Was that okay?
yeah, I'd fucking drop it real quick. Because listen, I'm horny. I know how to be horny. I know how to talk horny. But I'm also very unconfident. I have no confidence. And I'm very kind of shy and stuff. And so I want to make sure that people liked it. So then I'd break character and be like, what'd you think of that? Was it obscene enough? Was that too obscene, or was that obscene enough for you? Did it make you horny or just scared? Give me your honest opinion. 1 out of 10. How obscene was this phone call? Yeah, but so Phil's dead, and so that's when, because it seems like the killer makes these calls after he kills somebody, you know. And you mentioned that earlier, and and you also kind of suggested this, and I meant to say it then, but he's getting more upset every time, and kind of reveals more about himself every time. And so yeah, now this is his like grand climax phone call. Pun possibly intended. He might be jizzing throughout this. We don't know. Maybe, probably. Anyway, so he's does all this stuff.
Yeah, well, he's like, you left Billy alone with Agnes. Why did you leave Billy alone with Agnes? Where is Agnes, Billy? I'm like, uh-oh. What do you mean? And that's when I had the thought, fuck, did he kill his little sister?
And that's when it's long enough for the phone guy to track the phone call. And I wrote down here somewhere, I'm so glad this movie is old, because this would not be nearly as awesome as a scene with cell phones. Because the scene of him tracing the call, you just got this guy in this room full of switchboards running around, and yet it's very thrilling, you know. It's you're on the edge of your seat.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like checking on little switchboard things, and, you know.
With his little tool belt.
Yeah, all that stuff, and they figure it out. And so while the police lieutenant is now leaving the smashed piano, thinking like, yeah, this guy is fucking crazy, he gets a walkie-talkie call on the car like, hey, we found out the call's coming on the other line. And he's like, oh.
Oh, shit.
Is that what he says? He just says,
Yeah.
oh, shit? Yeah.
Oh, shit.
And then they call Nash, so then they get Nash, the goofy cop, and they're like, Nash, because they got to drive. They don't have a phone. They just have a walkie-talkie. Nash, call Jess and tell her to get out of the house. Don't tell her that the guy's in there.
And don't fuck it up.
Yeah, don't fuck it up. Okay, you got it, boss. Yeah, right away, boss. No worries, boss. Yeah. So he calls Jess and relatively immediately tells her the guy's in the house.
Well, he gets frustrated because he's like, don't ask any questions. And then she starts asking questions, and she's not listening to him.
You know what's a great way to get people asking questions? Tell them not to ask questions.
I know, he should have just said, hey, Jess, the lieutenant's waiting for you. Can you go outside?
Boom.
She would have just been like, yeah, okay. And she just would have went outside.
Done. And that's all the lieutenant asked him to do. But instead, Nash is like, it's time for me to prove that Nash is also a great detective and a protector of the people. So, you know, he's like, don't ask me any questions. She's like, okay, why? Oh, you know, and so he starts
He's
getting
really
all,
scared for her, though. He's like, oh my God, get the fuck out.
yes, and this is where I decided he's a good guy. He just sucks at his
Yeah.
job, kind of, but whatever. But he clearly cares about it. And he's like, just go, just don't go look, don't go up there, Jess, you can't go. And then he finally goes, Jess, the phone calls are coming from inside the house. The guy is in there.
Is that when we have the shot of the lookout guy's throat is cut?
Yeah, it's right around here. They reveal that the guy who's been sitting in the car watching them has had his throat slit at some point, probably for a long time. There is a shot much earlier in the movie from the killer's point of view when he sees that car, so I'm guessing he did it then.
Yeah.
You know, like climbed out and went and murdered that guy. Or, I mean, at this point, now that kill could have been Peter. Because Peter's been creeping around the whole time. When he was storming out, he walked past the detective guy and gave him a weird look, you know. So he's losing his grip. He had that weird teary phone call to Jess, so it's very possible that he's killed this guy. Probably not, but I mean, it's, you know, it's not... That one's like totally up for grabs still. You know, anybody could have... Either of those people could have done that, you know?
Not completely far-fetched.
No, not at all. No. And then, of course, once Nash is like, he's outside the house. Well, okay, now she's definitely not going to fucking leave, dude, because she's worried about her friends, right? So,
when she's screaming for them, it's so
Yeah.
sad. She's just like, please, like, say something.
yeah, she's just really... I wrote here, Jess has been trying to keep it together all night with her missing friends, the murdered girl, and her ex boyfriend, and an abortion, and she finally just lets it out. And I know I just said this kind of jokingly about the killer, but I meant it here. This is like kind of a climax of the movie for her character, because she has this emotional explosion. She's been fairly calm all night. You know, like Phil was crying, and she like comforting her, you know, she's comforting her drunk friend, all that stuff. So now she's just like done. There's too much, and she kind of breaks down emotionally.
Well, because she knows that they're upstairs and she doesn't want to leave them.
Right, yeah, exactly.
She's like, answer me! Oh my God. Because she knows that the calls are coming from the house, but she doesn't know what he's done, though.
Right, but now she can imagine something, which is why she grabs the fire poker.
Man, she's pregnant and she's got some balls on her. She's like, I'm going to go up there and face whatever the fuck, whoever's up there doing all this shit.
Yeah, she also asked for double Tylenol earlier, and it's well, you know, she doesn't want to keep the baby, so she's not worried about that, you know. So, but yeah, so she grabs a fire poker to go upstairs to investigate. At which point I wrote like, has a fireplace poker ever worked really against a horror movie killer? And she does use it here, but no, not the right person. But so she gets up to the room, and yeah, Phil's fucking dead. Barb's dead. She sees him in a pile on Barb's bed. And now the shoe is dropped. Now she's like, oh, there's a fucking murderer here.
Yeah.
So she starts trying to get away, and all the doors are locked because they wanted to lock them because there's bad shit going down, and she can't get anything open. And she eventually gets down in the basement to get away from this guy and tries to lock
Good shots down there.
Yeah, very cool. And she closed the door. The killer's right behind the door to the basement, but starts freaking out, and then he gives up at some point.
That creeps me out the most is when killers start to freak out and then they just get really fucking quiet.
And so she's worried about that, and then someone starts tapping on the windows of the basement. And they did a good job with the sound design there, because you know, it ends up being Peter, but you don't really know who it is, and you don't hear the sounds very well. And that's how it is when you're like, because they're probably thicker windows too. They normally are with basement windows, and so you know, you're not going to hear his voice perfectly. You know, it's going to be muffled and unclear. And you just kind of hear the general kind of shape of the word Jess. Like, you know, that's kind of all you get. And I think that's more accurate.
Oh, man. He's just so calm here, though. What are you doing down here?
Yeah, it's classic abuser behavior. Because now he's like, oh, I have to get back in there. Grace is close enough to manipulate them again. So I'm going to act nice. And also, he's not worried about any of this shit, because he doesn't think about anyone but himself. So she's down here. She's holding a weapon. She's terrified. And he's like, oh, what the fuck is going on? Because, like, literally with this fucking idiot, it's like, if it's not directly happening to him, then it's not happening. So what a fucking asshole. And he comes up to her like, Jess, what's wrong? You know.
She's cowering away from him because she thinks it's him.
Well,
like, he's the killer. Because he's always conveniently just, like, been there.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's because he's been hanging out there all night because he's a fucking He's just
Because he thinks he's going to somehow convince her to change her mind, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be cowering to the shadows away from that fuck too. Like, get the fuck away from me.
She thinks he's the killer. And then she gets real close to him. He gets really close to her, rather. He comes up, well, Jess, it's just me, Jess, it's just me. Fucking asshole. And then they cut to the cops, and they roll up, and they see the dead guy, the dead cop in the car that'd been sitting there, night watchman guy.
Mm-hmm.
He said they're like, oh, fuck. And then they hear a scream, and so they get down to the basement.
Man, she looked dead to me, too, for a second.
Yeah. So he gets down there, and they're both like, she's there. Peter's dead in her lap. His eyes are open. He's bloody, got a big gash in his head. There's blood on the fireplace poker, so it's clear she fucking brained him one. But she's like she screamed and fainted. She probably screamed as she hit him, was what I'm assuming happened. And then she's kind of fainted over him, but she looks dead, and so the lieutenant's like, oh, God.
Yeah, and I thought, like, oh, shit, did the guy get her, like, right after she killed him? But then I was like, yeah, that's weird.
Did she kill Peter? Then he just came down, then Billy came downstairs and stabbed her or whatever, you know? Yeah, but he would have taken the body.
Yeah.
Because he's been doing that. But slashers love that shit. They gotta do something weird with the body to freak you out. They don't just leave it there. You know, Jason, Michael Myers, this guy, everybody, you gotta stack them up. You gotta tie them up. You gotta make them do weird poses, something, you know. So, so she's killed Peter, and you know, and then it cuts to them investigating up in the room, and
they're like, oh shit.
Yeah, and they see some of the dead bodies, and the lieutenant's like, I know it was that kid. It's fucking crazy, you know. So they help they're with Jess in the bedroom, and she's, you know, they talk about drugging her and stuff, and then the dad's in there, and he faints, right, because they're talking about all the stuff that happened. And then the camera comes out and shows the hatch is still open, and then so it kind of cuts into there, and you see that the two bodies are still there, and you're hearing all these discussions over this, you know, of them talking about the Jess and about how Peter's dead and stuff. And then it zooms away from the bodies, and that's when you realize the camera's actually been out. You were looking through the window, and it comes out through the window, then transitions into, kind of just wipes into a longer shot further away from the house, so it can pull back. And that's when you see the cop walking up, the phone rings, and the credits come up.
The first time that I watched this movie, I went, oh my God, you're going to leave her in that room all alone?
Because they got to help the guy out there, like, he's having problems, we got to get him to the ambulance, the fainting dad.
Yeah, because like, oh, he's in shock.
Yeah, what about the girl who just like fucking killed a guy? And you know what? We forgot to mention the press is there too. And they're in the they're in the living room rattling out all these questions while the camera's pulling out, showing us the dead bodies and stuff. And you know, so it's still kind of very chaotic, like it's been the whole time. So, but you know, the house has been chaotic pretty much all night, and which kind of keeps people from ever going up there to look, you know? So yeah, that's still continuing. But yeah, now they're all, you know, there's just this whole circus, and they're not paying attention. And now they're downstairs, and yeah, Jess is in her bed, and now we know the guy's there, and he's calling. It's like, oh, fuck. So
yeah,
it's
he's
like
calling again. Oh my God.
So really what this movie was a story of Peter losing his mind, and Jess trying to like end their relationship nice with him and stand up for herself for the things she wants to do and have to stand up against Peter. That's kind of what the actual story is, because the story of the murder has not been solved, and we didn't really ever find out much about it anyways, you know?
No, we never find out who the killer is.
Yeah. The only info we ever got is what you've been talking about, the phone call stuff. Like whenever he's freaking out, he drops tidbits of info that, you know, like what you did is kind of like figured out, okay, well, maybe he's about a sister or something. And, you know, they're not even that specific. It could be something else, but that makes sense. But you don't even know that for sure. They don't give you anything, you know? So.
The hell was that noise? Did you hear that?
I was chewing. I didn't hear anything else.
No. Like I heard like something like move.
Shandy, the weird sound, Shandy. It's coming from your house.
Dude, I am inside by myself right now.
Oh,
my
God,
roommate
I'm sorry.
left.
I'm not trying to scare you.
Dude.
Do you need to go look at this?
No, I'm not going to go look, because when you go look is when you die.
Okay, you're right. They should have made a sequel about Nash investigating another crime. You know, like last week I said something about how I would like to see the detective and the nun from Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 have like a show together. The show I want out of this, it would be Mrs. McHenry and Mr. Harrison investigating things together. and she's like fucking wasted. And keeps like every time they walk by like if they walk by a newsstand with a porn magazine, she tries to cover it up so he doesn't see it.
Like she's the wackadoodle cop and he's like the straight edge cop.
No, they're just their characters.
Oh, just their characters.
No, I'm talking about this. It continues like if she lived, right? Let's say she didn't get killed, and they just keep fucking investigating things. Because they're a good pairing. Because he's this like stick up his ass stuffed shirt guy who's really worried about his daughter, and she's this drunk, probably horny like party girl, So it'd be a good mix. But anyways, yeah, well, geez, yeah, that's we talked about that for a while. So that's and at that point we stopped recording. Shandy had to go, so that was our conversation about the movie Black Christmas. And now I'm recording this a few weeks later, Saturday, December 28th. As I'm wrapping up the editing, I wanted to get this out before Christmas. Didn't quite get there, but you'll be hearing it on the 29th or 30th probably. And yesterday, Friday the 27th, in the evening, they announced that Olivia Hussey passed away. She was the actor who played Jess, the main character of this movie. So kind of a sad coincidence there. And so as we wrap up this episode, just want to say rest in peace to Olivia Hussey. She's fantastic in this movie. Wish she would have done even more things, but she was really wonderful in this movie, so rest in peace. And here's to a life well lived. And it's sad that you had to die right after the holiday that made you famous, so too bad. But that'll do it for Earn Full of Popcorn this week. We'll be back in January, where our first two episodes are going to be kind of like resolutions, right? I'm going to be watching a movie that I've been meaning to watch forever and trying to find one for Shandy, but it's hard. She's seen a lot of stuff, so we'll see how that goes. But anyways, that's Earn Full of Popcorn. Thank you, everybody who's been listening and responding and commenting and all that stuff. So also thank you to Jordan Cooper for writing the theme song and to Steve Ward, who is from Canada, for doing the graphic design, making our logo, and all that stuff. So you can follow us on Instagram at Earnful of Popcorn. You can go to our website, earnfulofpopcorn.com. And, of course, you can find us on Apple and Spotify and soon YouTube. I swear I'm going to get us up there. Maybe that should be my real New Year's resolution. But in the meantime, thank you very much. Rest in peace, Olivia Hussey. And always check the attic.